For those of you guys who don't know, it is National VCR Day, and this is about the only day that applies to my YouTube channel. So I wanted to show you guys how I go about recording videos and how I transfer them over into digital, because I feel like my method's a pretty good method, and yeah, so let's do it. So first, let's talk about the format. I choose to use Super VHS-C. There are several ones that I use on the channel, High 8, Video 8, Digital 8. I've never used Betamax. I have a camera, but I'm going to try it eventually. But Super VHS-C, which is the compact version, is pretty high quality for VHS standards, that is. The camera that I choose to use most of the time is this JVC SXM 330U. It was made, I think, in 2000 or 1999. It has my favorite feature, which is the snapshot feature. I'm sure you've seen that in the videos, where it allows you to like take a still image and it displays it for a few seconds before doing like this very 90s fade back into the actual video. It has manual controls, focus, and it of course plays back everything. It also has got a light too, which is pretty cool. Battery on this is about 3 hours. You know, it's not too bad, and it has a bunch of different modes. It even has widescreen, which is pretty crazy for a VHS camcorder. So once you have the footage, you can either play it back in this machine using the internal controls. And if you look over here, we have your RCA audio and video out and your S video. You can use either one of these, composite or S video. S video will give you about a 20% increase in quality. I can't really see it. For me, it just makes the image look sharper, and sometimes I don't want it to be that sharp. Sometimes I want it to be a little bit soft, so that's why I use composite. But I actually have an adapter for this, so let's teleport upstairs. We are now upstairs at the studio desk, and we have the adapter here. Now this thing is pretty awesome. It takes your SVHS-C tape and it adapts it into a regular size. So what you do is you pull that, pops open, you take this and you pop it in here. Sometimes it's a little fussy, and then you close it, and the two arms pull the tape out to about there. And if you look, it's really difficult to do with one hand. There we go. It now is your full-size VHS tape. So that's cool. Now, the VCR. This is the VCR that I use up here. It is a Zenith XBV 442. It's a DVD player VHS combo, hi-fi stereo sound. I think it was made in 2004, so it's got to be one of the last ones ever made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in here, and let's rewind it. Once that's done, we're pretty much ready to go. I should mention that I am connecting the output of the VCR into a selector box, and then this is going down into, it goes down to an EasyCap capture card, and I'll show you a picture of it right now on the screen. And this device allows you to convert all of your analog video signals into a digital video signal that just plugs into your USB port in the back of your computer. Now the program that I use to capture the video is called Virtual Dub. It's free online, and it's super useful. So I go to File, which is right there, and I go to Capture AVI, and it's a weird looking thing, but that's okay. I just go to Video, and then it's on Overlay, so I press Preview. And there's that. And then File, Set Capture File. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it TGHY. Let's put it in that folder right there, and then press Save, and then you're pretty much ready to go. You can, I'm going to enable audio playback so we can hear it on the speakers. I'm going to press Capture Video, and then I'm going to go ahead and press Play on the VCR. And there it goes. There it goes. And let's turn up the volume. I want to take a drone over this area. And it is now recording the footage onto the computer in an AVI file. So I'm not going to let this play too long because this is some footage for another episode of Abandoned Cleveland. So stop, and then I'm going to go ahead and press stop here. And then we can go ahead and then we can exit our capture mode. Now, what I want to do is re-import the AVI file, because the thing about AVI files that this records is that they are uncompressed, and that just means that they are extremely large files. As you can see, this file is 652 megabytes for 33 seconds, 720 by 480. So there's literally no compression here. We're going to change that, but first we're going to up the size, and we're going to do something called deinterlacing. Now, with video, usually from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, what they did is they would have half of a frame play and then play the other half in the next frame. So if you can see, let me go ahead and play the video. If I make this thing very large, you can see like it's called the combing effect. You see how there are all these like TV lines here? That's because part of the video is being played one frame before the other half of the video. They're called fields. They're separated. I'll link a video in the description. We can learn more about this if you're really curious. But we want to get rid of that. And the thing is, when we get rid of this, it will double the frame rate from 30 to 60. So in order to do that, let me go ahead and press stop here. We're going to go to Video Filters. I'm going to add a filter. And this one is going to be the deinterlace filter, which is, I don't know how to spell. There it is. Okay. We're going to do that. We want the YADF algorithm because that's just the best one. It really eliminates all jitters. For me, it's bottom field first. It might be top. Who knows? Okay. Okay. And let me go ahead and resize this a little bit. And when we play it, you should be able to note that most... I think we just finished the video. When we play it back, you can see that most of the combing is gone. There's still a little bit, but it's definitely a lot better. And this is actually 60 frames a second. You can't really tell on here, but I'll play a video afterwards so you can see that it's 60. The last thing I like to do is resize it to a 960 by 720, which is the 4:3 ratio. It is the exact ratio of what VHS should be. So I go to filter, resize, disable your aspect ratio. You type in 960 by 720. Press OK, and then you go File, Save as AVI, and then Virtual Dub processes your video and it will spit out a 960 by 720, 60 frames per second progressive video wherever you saved it. And then the box goes away and it's done. So now we're back looking at the file properties, and it's still, and now it's 3.79 gigabytes for a 33-second video. So we need to change that. So now what we do is, you can do one of two things. You can use a program called Handbrake, which is free to download off the internet. Takes a minute to open. There we go. You can open a single video file, which is the one that you have. I saved mine in the Mega Mall episode, which is right there. So it takes a minute to load, and then you want to basically keep the same resolution that you had at the beginning, which is 960 by 720. Don't deinterlace. Video frame rate is going to be 59.94 because that's what we changed it to when we deinterlaced it. Quality, that's fine. Audio, if you're going to do this, you want your audio to be at 320 or else it'll cut off some of the high end and make it sound crappy. Then you want to specify where you're going to save your file. You can just call it whatever you want, wherever you want it, and then you just press start encode. And what this will do, it'll reduce your file size by a factor of 8, I think. But I'm not going to do it this way, so I'm going to stop. You can also go back into virtual dub, and you can throw your video in here. Resize it real quick. You can go to, there's something called the DivX codec. Something called the DivX codec pack, which is what I have right here. It's popping up. And DivX is, it's like a movie compressor and a bunch of other things. If you can find it on the Pirate Bay, I think it's DivX 6.9.2 codec, which is right here. And this is no longer available on the DivX website, but people have pirated copies that you can get. And you configure it. You can do a 1080 profile. If you go to video, custom resize, you're good to go. Speed to quality ratio, 10,000 kilobits per second. And that's pretty much it. This gives you a much higher quality than Handbrake. So you press OK, and you press OK, and then you just press the Save as AVI thing, and you go through that process again. And then your video is done. And that's pretty much how I take the VHS videos that I have and put them into digital videos. And, it's a process, but like I said, I really enjoy VHS. I've been filming on it since 2006. It was probably the first camera I've ever used. So it has a nostalgic factor, and I also just like the look nowadays. So, that's it. Go celebrate National VCR Day in whatever way that you choose, and stay tuned for more abandoned fun. Thanks, guys.
Driving?
Yep. I want to take a drone over this area.